In episode 3 of this Hidden Histories series, the directorship passes from Francis Penrose to Ernest Gardner, who lived and worked here between 1887 and 1895. Now, this was a time of great change for the institution, with the admission of the first female student, the publication of the first annual of the British School at Athens, and major planning work undertaken for a new residential hostel. Historian of archaeology Dr. Amara Thornton tells us more about Mary Gardner, wife of Ernest Gardner, who often accompanied her husband on his travels around Greece.
Having established themselves in the Upper House, the Gardners called the British School at Athens home for 8 years. Pictured here on the steps of the Upper House with a dog, there is a young woman who could well be Mary Gardner herself. Mary is explicitly mentioned in the BSA's 1892-3 report, where the chairman noted, "At Athens, Professor and Mrs. Gardner were surrounded by an ardent band of workers, and collections of the highest educational value were being brought together." In their residence at the British School at Athens, the Gardners did not live alone. Ernest and Mary opened up the house for some of the male students to lodge. In doing so, they lived side by side with the students, no doubt providing opportunities for informal and formal discussion of their work. The BSA's first female student was admitted in 1890, Miss Eugenie Sellers, who later married the art historian Arthur Stanford Strong. From 1909 to 1925, Eugenie Strong was the assistant director of our sister institute, the British School at Rome. The Gardners also traveled widely, frequently with students or groups of visitors to Athens, and they continued to do this even after Ernest's directorship ended. The writer E.F. Benson was one of the students who arrived at the BSA during the Gardners' residence, and we see him here in a photograph during his survey and excavation of the site of Agostina in 1894. Both Ernest and Mary are standing to one side of a tent at the excavation camp. Benson is on the other side with a workman. Mary mentions Benson in her unpublished autobiography, and he provided a preface to one of Mary's unfortunately never published writing projects, a book of ghost stories. He himself was a noted ghost story writer. Several of his tales draw on archaeological themes. Mary Gardner was an ambitious woman who was eager to see her name in print as a writer. Both she and her husband contributed text to Macmillan's popular Guide to Greece, with Mary taking on the bulk of the editing and revision to the guide's 3rd edition. They continued their work in tourism publications in Ernest Gardner's popular 1933 travel guide, Greece and the Aegean. In addition, Mary turned her experiences at the BSA and traveling through Greece into a series of 4 short stories, each with a female protagonist. One, set at Stymphalia in Arcadia, sees a female traveler and her companions sheltering from a storm in a local inn and conversing with the innkeeper's daughter, Aspasia. Another takes place on board a little local steamer to Colchis, which has to stop unexpectedly at Lavrion. A third centers on the experience of a young male student living in rooms in the city and learning Greek from the daughter of his hosts. These were published in Temple Bar magazine in 1905 as 4 semi-autobiographical short stories, entitled Samian Wine, Some Greek Sketches. During her time at the BSA, Mary began intensive studies of modern Greek. While still living in Athens and with a young daughter, Phyllis, later a noted artist, she adapted quite considerably Carl Veed's Modern Greek Grammar as a short and easy modern Greek grammar. Modern Greek was a language, Mary felt, forms the connecting link between East and West. The book, she hoped, will be useful for all who visit Greece. She added, "I should have been glad of something of the sort myself some years ago." These language studies continued on her return to England, and during the First World War she taught modern Greek at both King's College and University College London.